Once upon a time, there was a video game that cast players in the role of a lone warrior who set out to destroy one of history's greatest evils, Vlad Tepes, aka Count Dracula. This game was of course called Castlevania and would go on to span a franchise consisting of dozens of sequels, several spin-offs, and an animated series that you can watch on Netflix. Years later, the developers behind the franchise, Konami, would focus away from gaming and focus more on casinos and pachinko machines. Thus, it will fall onto the independent gaming scene to create a sequel of sorts to Castlevania. One of the most prominent spiritual successors, of course, is called Bloodstained: Ritual of the Night, and it was created by Koji Igarashi, who ironically was the man behind some of the more beloved franchises within this series. Another spiritual successor is called Wallachia Reign of Dracula, which was released earlier this year. While it's certainly inspired by Castlevania, it's got some differences that help it stand out. But the question is, should you play it? Well, let's find out. You've likely came across Wallachia in the Steam storefront and thought it was another Castlevania-inspired gothic action game. You'd only be half right. While Wallachia's atmosphere is certainly inspired by Castlevania, quite a few things set it apart from Konami's hit franchise. For one, rather than being a hack-and-slash exploration-focused title like the last few entries, it's a linear run-and-gun style game, similar to games like Ghouls and Ghosts and Shinobi. Secondly, rather than being focused on supernatural elements, the game is inspired by the historical legend of Vlad the Impaler. That's not to say there isn't anything out of the ordinary, but the majority of the enemies you face will be human soldiers, and not vampires, zombies, and demons. While you won't be encountering any Grim Reapers, you'll run into some wildlife, including a bear. Playing as a young girl named Elson, you set out for revenge against Vlad Tepes, who captured your brother and killed your parents. Your main weapon is a bow that you can fire in multiple directions. You also have a sword for when you need to get up close and personal, and it can destroy most projectiles. The bow has several weapon types, such as a laser and a multi-shot spread. You can switch these at any time as long as you have the required ammo for them, and you can also power them up as well. You also have the ability to do a slide and a double jump, and by holding a button, you can aim your weapon while standing in place. You can also summon one of 4 companions who provide a special ability. You'll need all the help you can get too, as this game is hard. Yeah, like those classic 8 and 16-bit games, this has that NES hard level of difficulty. In fact, if you play this on easy, you won't be able to unlock anything or experience the whole game. The levels are huge and there is only one mid-level checkpoint. You can only take a few hits, although your life meter is extendable. When you lose all your lives, you get sent back to the beginning of the level. It can be soul crushing to reach a boss, come close to killing them, then get sent back to the beginning just because you lost your last life. The game even has those annoying platforming levels, complete with small flying enemies and well-placed snipers, both of which can knock you to the abyss if you aren't careful. However, there's a pattern to everything in the game, and once you recognize and pick out these patterns, the game becomes more workable. Not to say that it becomes easy, but once you do overcome a particularly tough area, you feel a sense of accomplishment. Thankfully, unlike those old school games, you don't have to beat it all in one sitting. At the How to Play statement that shows at the beginning of the game, you can choose to start at the last stage you made it to. However, most players might miss it if they're not paying attention. And that brings me to the one problem I have with this game, the menu system and the user interface. It's not terrible, but it could be a bit more intuitive. As I said, when you continue the game, you can choose to start at the beginning of the level you last left off at, but you'll have to start the game to find the stage select feature. Also, you can't quit the game directly from a pause menu. You have to press escape on the keyboard to trigger the game over sequence and go back to the title screen. Seeing as how you're most likely to play this game with a controller rather than a keyboard, this will be somewhat confusing. If you're on the main menu, pressing escape again will exit the game immediately. The interface tells you to use the bow and sword buttons to navigate, but you have to go into the button mapping menu in the options to find out what they are. Really though, this is only a minor gripe I have, and it's more annoying rather than outright frustrating. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the excellent graphics and music. The graphics have that old school look to it, that while it's not a complete throwback, it has that retro feel to it. You get the feeling that you could easily see a game like this on the Sega Genesis if the console had a little more horsepower, and it would feel right at home in the arcade or on the Neo Geo. There's a lot of gothic horror style imagery, with corpses all around and bodies on pikes. While there's nothing too gory, it's unpleasant and horrific to look at, and it helps to drive home the atmosphere. It really gives that feeling that you're going up against one of history's greatest evils. The voice acting isn't bad either. It's not world class, but it brings home that 90s feel in that cheesy kind of way. The music is naturally reminiscent of Castlevania, and several of the game's tunes can easily fit in with the franchise. Heck, the music in the game's first level sounds like the kind of thing that Simon Belmont would jam along to. Once you're done with the game, on normal mode at least, there's a hard difficulty if you're a masochist. You can also unlock several challenge minigames. As for the Bloodstained crossover content mentioned in the Steam store page, well, beating the game on normal will unlock Miriam's clothes as an option to wear. Okay, it's nothing mind-blowing, but hey, it's there and it's a nice reward for beating the game. So we arrived at the million-dollar question. Should you play Wallachia Reign of Dracula? Yes. Just be ready for some punishment. While the game's difficulty can scare off casual players, and the menu can stand to be a little bit more intuitive, the game's graphics and music are excellent throwbacks to the 16-bit era, and it doesn't hurt that the gameplay is polished either. And if you do enjoy hard games, you'll love the old school challenge. While Wallachia is different enough from Castlevania to carve an identity of its own, it's an excellent homage to not only Konami's classic, but also other 90s action platformers. The game's ending even provides a great hook for a sequel. I would love to see one, as it would no doubt build upon everything that makes this game awesome. So that wraps it up for this edition of Should You Play It? Let me know what you think in the comments. If you like what you just saw, hit that thumbs up icon. And if you want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button and click that bell icon. Make sure you join me every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern to see Twitch streams. And also follow me on Twitter at Screwfacecapone. Anyway, that's all for now. I'm Audi51000G and hope to see you again, kinfolk. If you're over 18 and you want a more not safe for work take on Castlevania, head over to my OnlyFans page at Screwfacecapone and check out my review of Midnight Castle Succubus. Also, I'll be hosting streams of hentai games, so you'll definitely want to check it out. It'll be free for the month of November. I'm not sure where I'm going with it yet, but stick around and check it out.